This is the Badger Report.
Welcome to this week's Badger Report.
In coronavirus news, Governor Tony Evers has plans to extend the statewide mask mandate into the next year. The indoor mask requirement extension comes as Wisconsin continues to see alarming increasing in not only positive COVID tests, but also in deaths caused by the virus. The latest COVID-19 numbers from the State Department of Health Services show a daily increase of more than 6,600 new cases. Wisconsin now has a 7-day positive test rate of just more than 33%. Another 83 deaths were also reported.
Wisconsin is now ranked as the 6th highest state in the country for new COVID cases, according to the Centers of Disease Control. Governor Tony Evers also signed an executive order urging people to stay home, again, before addressing the state of Wisconsin about the dangers present as the virus continues to rise.
We must get back to the basics of fighting this virus, just like we did last spring, and it starts at home.
Evers is stressing limiting social distancing and interaction, especially during the upcoming holiday season. He recommends holding holiday celebrations virtually with anyone outside of your immediate home.
On Tuesday, Governor Evers released a $541 million package of proposed legislation. Among the bills he introduced were measures that would ban evictions and allow residents who have lost their jobs to claim unemployment benefits immediately. Evers' bills would also require insurance companies to pay for COVID-19 testing, treatment, medicine, and vaccines. In response to Evers' plans, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos held a press conference but did not offer any specific legislation. Instead, Vos said he wanted to double the number of contract tracking workers, providing lawsuit protections for business, and expand rapid testing throughout the state. With the COVID infection rate on the rise, students at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are facing the consequences of the virus firsthand in a way that many of them never could have anticipated.
I spoke to some UW-Madison nursing students to see what their experience is like as frontline healthcare workers. Last week, Tuesday, Governor Tony Evers issued an executive order urging people throughout the state of Wisconsin to stay home as cases of COVID-19 continue to rise and hospitals reach increasingly high capacity. Student healthcare workers are dealing with the firsthand consequences of the pandemic in hospitals.
My job was very normal at the beginning. I was used to having to take care of people, but I wasn't used to having to see death so fast. And I think that's just it comes with a personal story that I feel like people need to hear.
Evers' executive order, though it did not impose any new restrictions on Wisconsin residents, specifically highlighted the struggles of healthcare workers in the state.
You can probably tell, but I have bruises from my N95 mask that I have to wear for 10 hours a day. So it's a whole different ball game. And I don't know, being short-staffed on a normal day is terrible, but being short-staffed when everyone is in need of somebody is even worse.
Over the weekend, cases of COVID-19 reached a high of 8,418 cases in one day. The city of Madison, which has been a hub for COVID cases since students returned to campus in the fall, remains a primary concern for students and community members alike.
Across our state, families, workers, and communities continue to face the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our healthcare workers are going to work every day, working 3, sometimes 4 shifts in a row, often having to reuse or share masks and putting themselves and their families at risk to do their jobs.
On Tuesday, Dane County officials placed a ban on indoor gatherings and limited outdoor gatherings to 10 people, while actions to quell the spread of the virus continue statewide.
Wow, did the students you spoke to say that they found it challenging to be competing with their schoolwork while dealing with the stress?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of them shared that this experience had really increased their stress and also had a deep impact on their emotional turmoil that they had been experiencing in school. But they hope that from this experience, they can help to better educate their peers. And we're continuing to hear promising news about the COVID vaccine. Drug maker Pfizer announced that its vaccine is shown to be 95% effective in recently concluded clinical trials, and the company will be seeking emergency authorization from the Food and Drug Administration and begin administering the vaccine. Another pharmaceutical company, Moderna, also announced that the vaccine was found to be 94.5% effective in recent trials, and Moderna will also be seeking FDA authorization soon.
Without a vaccine, the pandemic continues to hit the restaurant industry hard, and entrepreneurs have to think outside of the box to survive. R.I. Shirley with the Badger Report has the story.
COVID-19 is forcing even the established local restaurants to close. However, the year-old Caspian Grill hasn't shut their doors yet. The owner is putting all efforts and savings in to keep it afloat.
We don't have any indoor lot of customers, but we still having a lot of delivery and carry-out orders.
Vujinashvili says buying a delivery van with his personal funds has been the best solution for his business. As a result, new customers have brought a nearly 30% increase in sales. To see more customers supporting creative entrepreneurs, the Wisconsin Restaurant Association urges people to dine in restaurants.
The one thing that we do know is restaurants are a particularly safe place to go. They do a lot of sanitization, they are doing social distancing, they're wearing masks, they're having their staff wear masks, and they're encouraging their customers to wear masks and so on.
While fear of being exposed to the virus is widespread, few loyal customers continue to dine in and help restaurants survive the pandemic.
It was really important to show our support because we enjoy the food so much. This is kind of our favorite place to go. We try to come at least once a week.
Devoted customers continue to support their favorite restaurants. This is especially important during winter when customer attendance is already low. For the Badger Report, I'm R.I. Shirala.
Thanks, R.I. We'll be watching to see if restaurants can survive the pandemic and the winter months.
Turning to election news, the state of Wisconsin has now finished canvassing all ballots from their November 3rd election. In all, former Vice President and now President-elect Joe Biden received 20,565 more votes than President Donald Trump here in Wisconsin.
In all, more than 3.2 million Wisconsinites voted in the election. In the Electoral College, Joe Biden now has 290 votes to Trump's 232 votes. Donald Trump has still not conceded the election. Of those who turned out to cast a ballot earlier this month, a record number of them were young voters.
The Badger Report's Lily Zoller has the story.
The Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement estimates that 50 to 52% of eligible voters under the age of 29 cast a ballot in the 2020 presidential election. That's nearly 10 points higher than in 2016.
As a young person, I wanted to make my voice heard because we're going to be living with the consequences of any legislature's actions for the rest of our lives.
While youth are known to be politically active as young adults, their participation via voting is unprecedented.
It's a combination of when you're a young adult, late adolescent, young adult, and starting to think about your world and your life and where you're going, and what's happening. And so there's the coalescence of the historical moment, I think, just really meant that a whole lot of young adults were paying attention and caring, and wanting to stand for, the principles they believed in.
Issues that drove young people to the polls varied, but many considered the planet and their status as young people when deciding who to vote for.
Social justice and those issues, the environment, women's rights, there's a million issues that I think were really important to me in this election.
But young people did more than just vote in the election. They aimed to make their voice heard in other ways, too.
I worked at the polls. I posted on my social media a lot. I also helped make sure all my friends are registered.
Experts are hopeful that the surge in political activism from young people is here to stay. For the Badger Report, I'm Lily Zoller.
This is a trend that has occurred nationally.
We'll keep our eyes on it. Although Vice President Joe Biden flipped the battleground state of Wisconsin this year, Republican leaders are searching for ways to undermine his victory.
The Badger Report's Sally Young has the story. Sally, what can you tell us about this?
Thanks, Tamia. Yeah, on Wednesday, the Trump campaign paid the Wisconsin Elections Commission $3 million to conduct a partial recount in Wisconsin.
The recount will take place in the heavily Democratic Dane and Milwaukee counties, where the Trump campaign claims there was a substantial number of illegally cast absentee ballots.